Okay, I'm going to go through all of the signs from Aries through to Pisces in zodiac order. I'm just lighting some Palo Santo. Okay, it's a South American and Central American wood. It's got kind of a coconutty aroma. You can smell it lightly anyway, and then when you light it, it sort of burns and fills the room, and you can say positive affirmations when you burn it. It's supposed to bring abundance, okay, so particularly wealth, but also just general abundance, okay, happiness, well-being. So the kind of thing that you can say is the universe is abundant and what I ask for will be given to me. Okay, you can also say things like I am worthy of love. I want love, I deserve love, and I will have love. Okay. For example, I say things like teaching is my life path. Okay. Right, so we're filling the room with that because I've done a lot of sage recently. I think we're all saged out. And if you're not a fan of sage, because not everyone will be, sage is for removing bad energy, okay? Palo Santo is for bringing abundance, okay? So very, very different things and a much kind of lighter aroma, okay? Not as powerful, so a good alternative if you're looking for something to burn. Okay, as I was saying, I'm going to pull a soul truth card, so it tends to be a question. Like this one says, what if it was easy? And then on the back, there's like an action that you can do and a bit more explanation, okay? So I thought it'd be nice to go through all the signs and pull a card for you, just to provoke some thought, some introspection. You never know, it might resonate or be helpful. So starting off with Aries. Okay, Spirit, can you pick a card for Aries? A question that is useful for them to ask themselves today in the second week of September. Well, we've got a few, so I'll read all the ones that flips out. Okay, sorry, okay. What am I waiting for? Someone else to do it for me? Are you waiting on someone else before you can take the big leap? What if you were to take life into your hands and forge your own unique path? Put your heart into action and ask yourself, what risk can you take to move towards your dreams? Make a decision and do it. No more waiting for others. Do it scared and take the leap. You know, that's good advice, because often things are scary because you've got a lot riding on it, or it means a lot to you, okay? So therefore, it's kind of worse not to even do it at all. Today's soul action: no more thinking, only doing. Be brave and you will discover what you're really made of. Wild soul, strong heart, can't lose. Oh, I love that. Well, I'll take a photo of it, okay, so you can have it to keep. The other one you got, because you got a few. Am I communicating my needs? Your needs matter, Aries. What are you needing right now that you haven't communicated? What are you afraid of? Is it possible that what you are fearing is not true? Okay, so this is something that people do if they're worried about hurting the feelings of others. They won't say, look, I need you to start doing your own laundry, or, you know, you borrowed my car but you left it full of rubbish. Can you just make sure it's clean next time? Like, sometimes it's not that big a deal, but it needs to be mentioned so that it doesn't become resentment, okay? Because this is how bitchiness starts, and you start saying, oh, so-and-so keeps slamming the door. You know, and if someone is like, you know, doing something and it's not great that they keep doing it. You need to just find a way, okay? It doesn't mean that you shouldn't say anything at all. In fact, me and my sister were having a conversation like this last night because, you know, it's something in her work to do with gender and gender roles and performance and wanting to recognise and appreciate more females. But people are like, oh, you can't write that, you mustn't say that. And it's like, well, it needs to be written somehow. You know, even if we look for, you know, the current way of wording things, you know, certain things are a minefield, aren't they, to explore or talk about. A lot of families don't feel comfortable talking about finance, money, you know, but you need to do it because, you know, it's worse not to bring it up. Imagine if schools didn't talk about, you know, important topics like race, religion, you know, gender. Imagine if we didn't talk about it because we were worried about saying the wrong thing. Then you're not even having any dialogue about it. Okay, it's really important to have dialogue because people can't mind read, okay? Today's soul action, journal these answers. What are my needs? Am I saying no and yes? Enough based on my desires? Am I telling my full truth? Do I believe that my needs matter and do I share them with others? Do I ask for what I want? When communicating my needs, what am I resisting and with whom? What do I need in order to feel safe enough to express my needs? Okay, and often it's, you know, it's that weighing up of like, well, if I don't say anything, how are they going to know? Or like, if I don't, you know, okay, there might be a better way of wording it. Perhaps I can look for a good way of wording it before I go and say it. But it's best to say it, you know. If you're ever in doubt, face-to-face communication is a lot easier than email or text, okay, because you can show with all kinds of non-verbal cues and body language that you're being very genuine, okay? So if you're worried about how to word things, do it in person. That's a good one. What boundaries need to be created or strengthened within my relationships? To create more healthy boundaries, we must first get in tune with our own needs, desires and feelings, and believe we are worthy of them. In your relationships, it's essential to know where they end and where you begin. So, you know, if you leave all the decision making up to another person, or they insist always upon having the last word, are they actually listening to you? Are you actually getting to have, you know, a say in what goes on? Maybe that isn't okay, you know? Or are you being the person that ducks out of making decisions and leaves all the responsibility on the other person so they feel under too much pressure? You know, it's easy, isn't it, to lose a balance because it can happen slowly over time. Another example of that would be if one person's always having to pay and the other person's like, I'll pay you back. No, like, you need to organise yourself so you've got the money, like, in advance. You knew we were going out, you know. If, you know, somebody says, well, you work Monday to Friday 9 till 5, I do shift work, so you need to do all the housework. No. When you finish your shift, you can rest and then you can do some housework, like, because otherwise I'm just doing everything. Yeah? So draw boundaries with money. You know, if someone isn't touching you anymore and you're married to them and it's been, you know, a lot of months and they don't want to talk about it, well, that's not really fair, is it? Because you made a promise to love, protect me, cherish me, and you treat me like a wallpaper. That's your responsibility. Like, protect your peace, you know, like, stand up for yourself, broach the subject, and have a certain standard, you know, that people have to live up to. Because if you keep giving in to make things not an issue, you're going to end up giving 99% and they're giving like 1%. you know? And that can happen slowly over time, like it can start out 60-40. But that's why you need to sort of, before you get into a relationship, before you take on a work contract, before what's the minimum wage that I'm willing to accept? What is the minimum number of hours that I can, take? What's the minimum around the house that someone's going to need to do before I start to feel, resented? Because if it's 50-50, that needs to be explained beforehand, to see if you've got the same values, the same, belief systems, because there's no point otherwise. It's like if you got to know someone and then they said, well, I'm a terrible cook, so I just thought you would cook every night. It's like, what? And you would envisage, like, even them making something basic. It's like, well, no, you can learn how to cook. Like, you can at least, plan some meals that we could have, or come up with some of the ideas and buy the ingredients in. Like, it's not going to all be on me. I'm not your mum, and I need taken care of too. Like, it's just about understanding where your standard is, isn't it? And having one. Today's soul action: when we separate our energy from others, we gain clarity about what we really want. Okay, so it's not like, okay, this is what they want, I'll have to work around it. It's not about that. Don't forget who you are. You were a person before you met this person. So what are your values? What are your beliefs? If they can't listen and accept that you have a different point of view on things, that's a problem. Because you don't have to have the same thought on stuff. You can have different ideas about stuff, but sort of nod and go, yeah, I get that, or, finish listening to what the person says, and then you get to say your bit, and then you both kind of say, oh yeah, they're both like possibilities. Or it doesn't have to be that someone is submissive to the other person and the other person's always right, because that isn't right. If you are an empath, you can still be compassionate towards others without taking on their problems, okay? It is safe to trust that you are not here to fix anyone. Some people are beyond being fixed. This is what I used to think, and I think a lot of young people in their sort of like teens and early 20s think, do you know what, I've had a really like textbook kind of upbringing, and I just know that, my life and my family and like the way things are, are for me can really help this person, and like I just take them on, like they're gonna have such a good life with me. And it's like it's easily done, and it's innocently done, like it's done with a big heart and stuff, but people have got issues that can't be fixed, or they're not aware of the things that they're doing, or maybe they're aware they're doing it, but they don't know why, or, maybe they think it's right how they are, and they don't want to change. So, you can always develop and grow and change, and, like, you have different ideas. Like, as I've got older, I'm not against divorce. As I've got older, I understand why things, get complicated. Not everything's so, like, cut and dry to me. But it's true that as you get older, you kind of have a lot of experiences where you think, God, this is bigger than me. I can't actually, like, help this person, and they're actually dragging me into their drama, or, I'm going to get tangled up in shit that isn't mine here. Like, do you know what I mean? Or, like, this is putting me out so much, like, emotionally, financially. Like, you just have to, like, go, do you know what, this is bigger than me, and they've either got to work on themselves, or they're just going to have to stay away from me, because it's actually like giving me a lower quality of life. And someone should always come into your life to improve it, or add to it, or complement it. They should never be pulling it down or lessening your life kind of journey, or your life experience, or your successes, they shouldn't be having that effect on you. If something's pulling away, you know, your happiness, or it's stressing you out or draining you or making you constantly confused, you know, if you ever feel in danger, anything like that, it's just a no, isn't it? It's just a no. Like, people are not there to sort of, that shouldn't be like the nature of a relationship or a friendship. Friendships, you need to draw really strong boundaries, and if someone, you know, there's a grace period, and then if someone keeps messing up or they just don't understand how to behave, you know, I'm sorry, like, I'm not here to like be your mum and dad and like show you what is like normal or polite or like good etiquette. Like, no. And in the 2 years that I've known you, you keep messing up and you keep doing it, and you know, I'm not having it. Like, I actually think you're really rude. And it doesn't have to be up to 2 years, but normally if you have a friendship with someone, you can sort of have good times with them. So you think, well, I'm not sure really, because like we have had good times together. But normally I get to 2 years and then I'm like, I don't want to know this person anymore. Like, I'm ready to cut them off because they're just not getting it. Like, there's just some things that have happened that I just don't deem to be acceptable. I wouldn't do that myself, you know. Or I keep giving them advice and they keep asking me for my advice. My advice isn't changing. You know, they're wasting my time, stressing me out. Like, you don't have to have anyone in your life. You don't have to. You know, your time's precious and your mental health is precious. Your finances are precious. Today's mantra: I have everything I need within me now, and so do they. I am worthy of my needs and I set boundaries based on what's best for me. Am I focused on what I want most? One reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. Okay, that's a quote from Tony Robbins. So I guess the point of that is, like, you know, some people are extremely hardworking, but if you ask them what their dream is, because they've been brought up to complete certain goals, like, an example would be like go to medical school, okay? That is like their future's decided before they're in high school. They work all the way to this goal of getting into med school, then they do like 6 to 8 years of med school. They become an adult and they don't know who they are. I think this kind of thing happens to celebrities, you know, like child performers. Like, I'm quite sure a lot of, you know, if instead of saying child star, if you just count it as like them working from being a young child, it's child labour, right? They are in a bubble, okay, because they have millions and millions of fans globally. They can't be exposed to them. Other people feel like they know them, but they don't, and the only people they're around are minders or people that manage them. So they have a really weirdly, like, undeveloped, you know, sense of self. They become a fantastic dancer, okay, like they're great at dancing and singing, but they're often really distressed because they don't have any sense of grounding. They don't have really strong friendships. They can't just do anything without being, you know, filmed doing it or written horrible things about them. They don't have those hours that are needed just being a person, you know, just being a teenager, just being a person in their 20s, like doing stuff and it not being filmed and held against them. I'm not saying you should be able to like mess up and that's what makes good mental health. It's like the fact they're just so isolated, they can't just do normal experiences. Like, I guess, like, to just pick a bog standard example would be like go to a theme park at 17, you know, one of your friends gets the first car and the 4 of you go off. Like, they've never done like normal stuff. An example I would give you of somebody who's been like that is Britney Spears, and another one would be JoJo Siwa. She's like one everyone's talking about. You know, she's thinking about like how she's a bad girl and stuff, but everyone's kind of laughing because they're like, well, your image is being to be a child, and you're now 21, and you're still dressing and acting like a child, and then you're pretending to kind of be drunk, and it's like, it's actually sad because, you know, this is someone who's been forced to sing and dance from 2 years old. Do they even know who they are? It's actually sad, like your sense of self-image has to be developed through, you know, everyday life experiences, and it's almost better for people to get famous once they're older. Because you need a sense of self to know what's right and wrong. You need a good sense of self to know what you like. And I think that's what happens to people when they get married really young, or, you know, I'm not saying it doesn't work out when you meet someone in uni and you marry them and have kids together and stay together. Some people do, but a lot of people would grow over the years, and I don't know if I'm like picking good enough examples, but it's never ever a bad thing to think, what do I like? I'll read, you know, some random books, or I'll do some internet searches, or I'll go to some museums. Like, what makes you tick? Because there's going to be more than one topic, there's going to be more than one, you know, place in the world that you just get obsessed with, or a time period, or working with particular materials, anything. You know, are you absolutely like fanatical about being outdoors, or like, you know, what are all the different things that make you tick, and never stop exploring it. Never ever stop exploring it. I think a lot of people lose themselves in a relationship. They just think, well, we are, you know, half of something, and I like everything this person likes. Oh yeah, okay, a good example was on Catfish. This girl, she was really young, she was like teenage, she met a boy online who was in a whole other continent, yeah, he's in another country. And because she was young when she met him, she just looked up to him, so she was like, well, he is emo and goth, so now I'm emo and goth. And it was like, he really likes these songs, so now I really like these songs. He loves, you know, to do his hair this colour, so I'm doing my hair this colour. And it's like, you can become like someone that's all about someone else's interests, and not really, that's, you know, it's fine to like learn what someone else likes, think, oh, I really like that actually, but then you still know the other stuff that you like, even if they don't like it, that's still your thing, or whatever. Like, does that make sense? Like, if you love pottery and he doesn't love pottery, that's okay. But if someone's like, no, you have to like everything that I like, and you're not like gonna do anything like that anymore because it's not cool, that's like them wiping out your identity. That isn't love, that's control, you know? And it's very narcissistic, because why should someone only like what you like? Yeah, he wasn't saying that, she just chose to do that because she was just like, I need this person, you know, like. Today's soul action, what you focus on grows. Today, ask yourself, is my life a reflection of my values, or do I need to make adjustments? Prioritise. Okay, so for example, if you love playing computer games, but you keep doing that from young, and then, you know, you sort of neglect reading books, or you neglect doing your homework, or you neglect looking for jobs, or you neglect, you know, I guess there's like things that are more like responsibilities, but there's also just continuing to, you know, you can get into watching like a box set and then you're kind of not really doing anything else, you're just doing that box set because you want to binge watch it and you're enjoying it. Like, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's like, don't forget to go for a walk outside, you know. Like, we all rejig our routines, don't we? Like in the UK, it's seasonal. Like, if you know winter's coming in, you get your last walks along the beach because it's probably not going to be like a nice experience once winter's in, or, you know, you're coming out of winter, you've got really into the computer games and the TV and the being cosy as in you're like, I can't wait to go outside and just have... To be honest, I love a winter walk with a wrap up, but yeah, it's just trying to get a balance. It's got prioritise in capital letters. You know, if you want to create abundance for yourself and more opportunity financially, like, why don't you go and do something that, like, will increase that chance of that happening? You know, like, start your YouTube channel, like, look at a qualification to level up in whatever it is that you already do. You know, go and, like, get an appointment with your boss to see if there's any, like, opportunities coming up that they think of that, you know, they would put you forward for, or, like, trying to think of different examples, you know. I think that's enough. Was there anything else that came out? I think it was those 4. So just to recap, you've got, what am I waiting for? Someone else to do it for me? Am I communicating my needs? Okay, what boundaries need to be created or strengthened within my relationships? And am I focused on what I want the most, or am I getting distracted with, you know, my phone, or am I getting distracted with, good ones like, if I want to be slimmer, why am I, like, you know, having bad habits with food? Like, I'm just going to, like, make a goal and, like, choose what way I'm going to do it and do it, right? Like, I'm not going to just keep putting off the things that I want to do and saying I'll do it tomorrow. Just do it now. Right, I'm going to stop yapping. Oh my god, 27 minutes just for Aries. Okay, on to the next one.